How's it going, YouTube? I guess I could say it's Classic Oldsmobile here because same channel. But I wanted to give an update. It has officially passed the 6-year mark of owning this 2021 Kia K5 EX. It's got the 1.6 liter turbo in it. We've talked about it a few times over the years. I've tried to do pretty much yearly. Last year we did a more detailed breakdown of total costs over the time that I've owned it. This time I'm kind of going to do a little bit more broad, just overview, because really not much has changed since that video. Outside of normal routine maintenance like oil changes, cleaning my K&N, things like that. A few things have happened, and I guess I'll start out with the bad. The tires I had to replace again. Which is kind of annoying. The Nexens that were on there in the last video, they still had some life on them. They were probably around 2.5 to 30 seconds, but we got a kind of nasty storm this year here in Pennsylvania, and the car actually wouldn't get out of the driveway. They just didn't have any grip. They were from 2023, 2022, so they'd been on there for quite a while. They had 13,000 miles on them, which seems to be about average for what I get out of tires in Pennsylvania. I get more years than miles. I think it has to do with a lot of the hills that are around the area. And I really don't travel a lot. The car does mostly short trips. It's my work car, my commuter car. So that's actually where a majority of the miles, I think I had it up like 16 or 17,000 of the miles were put on just doing my daily commutes to work. So that's pretty much what this car gets used for. I'd like to next year take it on vacation, but that also leads me to the next thing that I had to do with the car, is I actually had to do the front rotors again and pads, which is very disappointing. I had to do the original ones because they were warped, which is a common issue with these cars. I see a lot of people complaining about it in the group, that these rotors warped, and there was actually even hot spots on these rotors when I took them off, the original rotors. I put on a set of PowerStop cross-drilled and slotted with their carbon ceramic, I think it is, pads. I did that at 17,000 miles in 2024, which technically places them within warranty. And this is where this isn't a rant about PowerStop, and that's not what I'm going to go on to about. I really love PowerStop. I have them on my Oldsmobile. They've been on there for 4 years or so now, maybe 5. They have a couple thousand miles on them, and that car would literally warp rotors within 500 miles. And they have not warped. They have not irregularly rusted. The backing plates on the pads have come off, and they kind of make a little bit of a clicking noise when you go forward and stop, and then when you reverse and stop. But other than that, they have been very, very good on that car. This car, I had no problems until about the end of winter. I started getting these rotors and pads under heavy braking. When they get hot, they do make the typical drilled and slotted noise, that rumble that they kind of make, which is normal, perfectly normal. But these started doing it every single time I hit the brake pedal. I couldn't figure out what was going on. I did have some stuck sliders on the front. I really didn't think I ever had to, I know you should maintenance these and check the sliders probably yearly, but I hadn't. I neglected that. I figured it was a new enough car I wouldn't have to worry about that. The entire time I had the original rotors on, they were fine when I took them off. So I really wasn't worried about that. Well, they had stuck. I was able to get the sliders moving, and the idiot in me, I never looked at the inside of the rotor, and it actually got worse after I got the sliders working, because now the inside pad was free to move, which was causing it to now wear onto the rotor, which was severely rusted and pitted on the inside. Severely. And I'm really disappointed in the product, because looking at them, they honestly looked no different than what these ones do. They were more tarnished on the outside, but there was no rust on the outside of the rotors. Now, I don't drive this car a lot, like I've already alluded to, but it's still disappointing. I reached out to PowerStop about the warranty, because technically they should have been still within the warranty. I think it's 3 year, 36,000 mile, and they denied my warranty claim, saying that rust was not a claimable issue. They said that it looked like I suspected, the caliper might have gotten stuck, but I still wish they could have offered me something. I've been a big seller of these products in the fact that I talk to anybody I talk to when they're talking about replacing brakes. I highly recommend PowerStop. They're on my parents' cars, they're on my brother's car, they're on my friend's car. He's put them on friends' cars, we put them on co-workers' cars. Not that drilled and slotted on all of them, but most of them are, and they have been phenomenal. Excellent stopping power, less brake dust. I could go on for days on how great they are, but I did have one bad experience, and I hope this doesn't happen again. The customer service, you talk to somebody that's local, that is very personable. They picked right up, they were very nice, and that's the only, sad as and sick as it sounds, the only reason I didn't raise a stink is they were super nice. I kind of wish maybe they would at least offered me like a coupon code. I told them I was buying them again, but it is what it is. I did put them on. They're $200 for the fronts, the rotors and pad kit. It's not the end of the world, but it's still disappointing. As far as the car goes, actual Kia problems that the car has had, it has had the rear dome light in the passenger rear door here. This one right here has gone out on it. You already know I had to replace the front one. They're sealed units with LEDs, so they're not a bulb that you can replace. You have to replace the entire assembly. I got that one off of the eBay. I think it was 56 bucks. Not the end of the world. It's out of that warranty, so it is what it is. Fit and finish, the paint has not held up all great. It looks okay on camera. Maybe I could take better care, but it still, I feel like, should have held up better than it has. Things like the trim has really started to fade, but the car does sit a lot outside, so I can't complain. Overall, the car has treated me really well. The interior, other than my dirty floor mat, that's the only thing I didn't get a chance to clean. I kind of gave everything a quick wipe over today. The seats themselves, the bolstering's starting to get a little bit of wear. The cushion on the seat, you can definitely feel that it's got a little bit of wear. The steering wheel itself has started to wear as well, which is really bizarre to me because I've kept really good care of this. I've tried to keep it treated because that part is true leather on these cars to my knowledge. But it's the thing you always touch, so I kind of get it. The part that is kind of, now it could be my fault, I don't know. I do a lot of wrenching. You know that from my channel. You've seen my Oldsmobile. I don't know if maybe I had something on my arm, like a chemical or something. This just recently happened over the last couple weeks. It won't come out. It's actually like a deterioration in the rubber, and you can, or in the leather, I think this is supposed to be as well. It will not come out. It's kind of annoying when you put your arm on it. I can feel it. Probably gonna end up sourcing a used one off of eBay. Luckily, now that these cars have gotten to be 6 years old, there's been a lot of models after as well, and unfortunately people wreck them, and with that, parts have now become available for the used market, which really helps. As far as the tires go, I did mention I got new tires. I got the General Ultimax this time. I really did like the Nexens. They were great tires, but the price with Nexen, I like Nexen because they were good and they were cheap. Now they're not cheap anymore. They're about the same price as the Pirelli tires that came on this car, which, if any of you have owned these cars, you know the Pirelli tires are garbage. I will point out, I will come straight out and I will say it, I absolutely despise the Pirelli tires on this. They wore really quick, they were loud, they had very poor traction in the snow. They were just not an all-around good tire. I only got 9,000 miles out of them, and then one somehow punctured on the highway. They didn't find anything in the tire. I don't remember seeing anything on the road, so I don't know what had happened to it, but that's when I had put the Generals on, or the Nexens. I thought the Nexens were cool because they were also a South Korean brand, but I still keep the Nexens on the Oldsmobile. I just put a new set on the front. I'll probably be doing the back either the end of this year or the beginning of next year. Those have been on for 5 years, or 6 years. I put those on around the same time I bought this car. I think a month before. So they hold up really well. They don't dry rot. I can't say anything bad about Nexen, other than that their prices now are not as competitive as they once were. And I had personal experience with these on my parents' cars, and my brother had gotten them on his Altima, and he really liked them. And the day that this car wouldn't get out of the driveway, I drove my mom's LeSabre with those on it, with these tires on it, and it did so well in the snow, and they ride so nice. For the money, I think it was $600 for all four before mounting. I can't complain. They seem to be wearing well so far. They don't make any weird noises. They ride and go straight down the road, so I can't complain. They're the General Ultimax RT45, if anybody's wondering. Yeah, the tire shine's already wearing off. I didn't have any, so I just used some VRP. I left it in the olds. So overall, the car has been, like I said, it's been great. I think I'm at 20-some thousand miles. I think I would remember. Let's see. We're at 25,717. Another thing that I learned, and I haven't done them, and I was going to do the spark plugs on this car. It doesn't really have any side effects that it needs spark plugs, but I'm a little bit, and this is delaminating. It looks better because there's water in it. That's another flaw that has started. It doesn't really need spark plugs. It doesn't really have any side effects that it needs spark plugs. It runs fine. It was a maintenance thing that I think it was 45,000 miles they call for on the turbo direct injection. So I was going to do it, even though I have 25, 26, just because the car is 6 years old now. But apparently they are a Kia only plug, and they're very hard to find genuines. I would be nervous to get on the eBay and get one that's not genuine and have something happen, like it break off in the engine and score the cylinder wall or something. So I'd rather get them directly from Kia, but they're like $30 a plug, and I'm kind of at the point, like, where the car really doesn't need them. I think we'll do them next year. I think that's what we're gonna do. I know I'm big on maintenance. The oil changes every 3,000 miles. I think next year will be the year, though, I will officially do everything that I want to do. I want to do the spark plugs. I want to do the transmission fluid, because I'll be closer to 30 to 40,000 mile probably by that point. So it would probably be a good idea to do the transmission fluid, even knowing it's probably a lifetime fluid. I would still feel better getting it done before 50,000 miles, and at this point it's going to be 7 years old at that point. So fluid does deteriorate from heat and use, so it probably wouldn't be a bad idea to do that at that point. Maybe we'll do a coolant flush. As far as anything else goes, maybe a brake fluid flush, we'll do that as well. It really doesn't need anything, so it's really hard to do different things when it doesn't need them. But it's a good idea to do them just to be on the safe side if you want to keep the car for a long time, which at this point I'm sold on the car. I don't have any plans on getting rid of it. It's low enough mileage. I did rust proof it, so it's not like it's going to rot out anytime soon. Even in Pennsylvania here, normally 6-7 years is when you really start to get the rust build up, from my experience. That was the deal with my Nissan. It wasn't rust coated, and it was, or rust treated for rust, and it was a northern New York car originally for its first 3 years. So it had rusted pretty good underneath, which is what led me to here. In fact, I had taken pictures of my Nissan just a few weeks earlier under this tree right here before I traded it in on this car. This is one of my favorite spots here at Oak Hollow Park. I think this is considered North Huntington. It's got a lot of family memories. We used to have family reunions here and such, so it's very nostalgic for me to come back here, and it's typically pretty quiet, especially down here at this pavilion. So I don't want to go on too long. I don't want to make this video too much rambling, but all in all, I just wanted to give a 6-year update on the Kia, talk about some of the problems that I've had, which really hasn't been much. Like I said, it's mostly just maintenance items. the weird, odd electrical problems with the lights, the water that got in the tail light a few years ago. I think I replaced this before the last video. It now has the light bar LED combination lights on the back that are a lot brighter, and they don't turn into fish bowls when I wash it, so that's a bonus. Yeah, I really like the car. I've been very, very happy with the car. It has plenty of power for what it is. I mean, for 1.6 turbo, I was kind of surprised when I initially got the car. On average, like I said, I do a lot of short trips. We average about 22 miles per gallon. Generally, I do run 93 in this car. I know the manual says that it can run on regular 87, but it also says in extreme situations, premium is recommended, if I recall correctly. I mean, it is a turbocharged engine, forced induction, so it's probably not crazy the fact that it should honestly have premium in it. This year, I've kind of strayed away from it occasionally, I ain't gonna lie, just for the fuel prices. I mean, it was getting ridiculous for premium. So I may have put a few tanks of 87 in it, and I will say, if you're running yours on 87, you will 100% feel a difference between 87 and 93 in these cars. The computer, from what I figure, is smart enough to, it should have a octane rating sensor of some sort in this car, I would imagine. It's not flex fuel, but I would imagine it still is able to check the volatility of the fuel. And when you're running 87, the car definitely feels down on power. It will be laggier, it will feel more sluggish. You put 93 in this car and it will take off. I mean, it'll spin these tires, which is shocking, which also I think is part of the part that hurts this car in the winter a little bit, is it is so torquey. But yeah, that's my short little short little video here. Looks like we're going on about 17 minutes of me walking around and rambling as always. But I wanted to make a video for any of you guys that are, you know, following along with the car, or anybody that's thinking about buying a used one. I mean, I'm still hesitant on any used Kia Hyundai product. I'm not going to sit here and tell you go and buy a Hyundai or buy a Kia that is used, just for the pure fact that you just don't know. I believe, in my personal opinion, and from what my research that I have done, a lot of the problems with the Kia Hyundai cars are poor maintenance. A lot of people that buy them don't really take care of them all that well, which if you don't change the oil routinely and you go by what the book has, any automaker's lying to you. They want to get the lowest total cost of lifetime maintenance or yearly maintenance on a car. So they're going to stretch out those intervals as far as they can. 7,500 miles for this car, I think, is absolutely ridiculous. It's going to cause that oil to get funky. It's going to build up oil deposits. It's going to clog up the oil control rings on the pistons. It's going to start using oil. It's not good on the turbo. I don't trust that at all. She gets 3,000 mile oil changes. And I feel, now I can't guarantee, well, time will tell. I'll tell you if something happens. But at this point, I mean, the engine sound is still sound in this car. Yeah, it only has 25,000 miles on it. But I really don't think that, you know, I think the 6 years of running is still pretty good. For the fact of, you know, that's still a fair amount of use out of the engine and idle time, even if it's not driven all that much. So I feel like it would be having a problem by now, especially if I had only done the oil changes, what, 3 times? I feel like I would have definitely started to have problems and oil consumption issues. This car doesn't lose a drop of oil in between changes. The filter is perfectly clean. So I strongly advise 3,000 mile oil changes, especially with direct injection as well. That's another thing that'll probably, I might look into next year, is doing walnut blasting on the valves. Find somewhere that's reputable and safe, that's not ridiculously expensive. I'm not quite sure I'm up to the task. It doesn't look hard, but I also don't want to risk it, especially while it's still under warranty. If something goes wrong, I want to point the finger at somebody else. So that might be something that gets done next year as well, just because of the years, not necessarily the mileage. It'll still build up some carbon deposits, and when I had a spark plug out, which is interesting. I'm rambling here. You can cut the video off if you really want to. But when I pulled the spark plug on number, I don't know if it's number 1 on the left side of the engine on these, I'd have to look. It was actually loose in the engine. Like, you didn't really have to ratchet it at all, which I believe was actually the fault of the dealership from way back when in 2020. When I had bought this car, it had that issue with the ground cable that had come loose on the passenger side or driver's side of the engine compartment down in here, and had blown the fuse for the ignition module, or the ignition coils. And I think they pulled a spark plug out to check the spark, and they never retightened it back down. So that was nice to see. I'm glad it didn't shoot out of the block or out of the head and strip the threads. But that's something I wish I would have looked at. This car did have the recall for the evaporative emission system for the tank swelling. That has been like 3 or 4 part recall they've done. The end result was replacing this right here, which goes to the purge valve in the tank. It's a one-way check valve. I'm assuming from what I've read in the bulletins, this check valve right here was failing and was allowing engine intake air to go back into the tank, expanding the tank, instead of pulling from the tank like it's supposed to. Which under boost, I would imagine there's probably a fair amount of air coming through there that could push through there. So I'm sure it has to do with the fact that the car is a turbo is why they were having this problem. But that was replaced, and I haven't had a recall since, so we cross your fingers that is, and that's it, and the gas tank doesn't explode on me, because this is one of the affected ones. This is an early 2020 car. It was the second one, to my knowledge, it was sold from the particular dealer that I bought it from. So it's a very, very early car. So I think that's why I've also experienced some of the issues, but not all of the issues. Like, it's had to recall for the airbags, checking to make sure that the airbags were positioned right in the apron. There was recalls for this chrome strip here that apparently falls off a lot of cars. I haven't had that issue yet. We shall see. But yeah, I'm gonna quit rambling. It's about 22 minutes into the video now. I just wanted to give you a few extra little tidbits on the end for those that followed along and stayed along at the end. We'll give another little quick look at the interior, the back seat. You can see it is held up well with its Syntex leather. It has the heated and cooled seats, which still work perfectly. The sunroof, the panoramic roof, which is still also fully operational. Haven't had any weird issues with that. So yeah, that's my 21 Kia K5 6 years later. I'm gonna keep holding on. I have no plans on replacing it anytime soon. I'm sure that if I came across some kind of a catastrophic failure of some sort, and such as engine or transmission, and it had to be replaced, I would definitely probably wash my hands of it afterwards and start over with something else. But as for now, with no issues, we're staying with it. I really like this car. I highly recommend them. I haven't driven the 26. I would love the opportunity to drive a 26. It's just I don't have a big enough following to get any kind of dealership that'll allow me to do that. And I definitely don't have a demo car from any of the big automakers, which would be cool. So I don't know what the 26s feel like with the 2.5 naturally aspirated. I'm not quite sure why they did that. I'm assuming a lot of people probably didn't like the turbo in this car, which I don't know. I have mixed feelings about a turbo engine and a small displacement, but this one so far has seemed to be pretty reliable from everything I've seen. So I'm not complaining. I'm going to keep her going, and hopefully I'll be updating you on year 7 and year 8 and year 9, and then we'll see what happens once the warranty's out. But yeah, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoy my little 6-year ownership review on my Kia K5. Thanks for watching. Comment, rate, and subscribe. And I guess there's that hype button. You do that too.